Miriam came home that evening to find red palm oil smeared across her doorstep. Her engagement ring, always kept in the small white bowl beside her mirror, had vanished. On the glass, written in thick red lipstick, were the words, "It should have been me." The whispers at work, the strange looks, the missing files. It all made sense now. The person she had once called her best friend was behind it all. And Miriam had no idea how far she would go, how it all started. Miriam was a 29-year-old woman living in Lagos. She worked as a marketing manager. She was kind, humble, and always stayed late to finish her work. One day, her boss called her into the office and said, "You're being promoted to senior manager next month." She smiled and said, "Thank you." It was a big day, but Miriam kept it to herself. She didn't want too much talk. She didn't even tell her best friend, Tola, who worked in a different department in the same company. They'd been close for years, always eating lunch together and sharing stories. At the same time, Miriam got engaged. Her fiancé, Kunle, was a quiet, wealthy man. He loved her deeply. They decided to get married quietly. No big party, no social media posts, just family and a few trusted friends. Miriam chose not to invite Tola, not out of hate, but out of caution. Over the past year, Miriam had begun to notice something unsettling. Tola had once laughed at Miriam's shoes in front of others. She made jokes about Miriam's salary and once said, "You always get lucky somehow." Miriam didn't forget the time she shared a personal story about Kunle and later heard Tola teasing her about it to a colleague. Miriam had started pulling back slowly, not out of pride, but out of protection. Tola heard the news from two different people. One was a cleaner who overheard the HR manager mentioning Miriam's name for promotion. The other was a junior staff who had seen Kunle drop Miriam off one evening in a white jeep. The whispers reached Tola like fire to dry grass. She didn't say anything at first, but inside her, something boiled. Every time she saw Miriam smile or heard her laugh, it felt like a slap. She started watching more closely. Who talked to Miriam? Who congratulated her? Who sat with her at lunch? One Wednesday afternoon, Tola barged into Miriam's office without knocking. Her eyes were sharp, her hands clenched. "So it's true," she snapped. "You're getting married and promoted?" Miriam looked up slowly and nodded. Tola laughed. It was dry and bitter. "And you didn't think your best friend should know?" She didn't wait for a reply. She turned around and walked out, leaving a silence heavier than any shout. After that, things started to shift. Tola began planting tiny seeds of doubt everywhere. During lunch, she would sigh and say, "Some people climb fast, but how they climb, only God knows." She said it loud enough for others to hear. She whispered to two junior staff that Miriam had been flirting with the regional manager. She claimed Miriam used charm, not brains, to rise. She even hinted that Sunle wasn't the only man in Miriam's life. The gossip grew. Some staff began to act cold around Miriam, but the manager saw through it. When he called Tola into his office, he said, "I've worked with Miriam for years. She's focused, respectful, and diligent. I trust what I see, not what I hear. You have to mind your work." Tola smiled on the outside, but inside, her plans were failing, and that only made her more determined. Tola wasn't done. She found out where Kunle worked and showed up pretending it was a coincidence. She acted sweet and said she just wanted to talk. She told him, "I just want to look out for you. Miriam is not who you think she is." She made up stories of a man from Miriam's past still calling her. She said Miriam had been seen at a hotel with someone else. Kunle listened, silent, not showing much. Later that week, Miriam's project folder disappeared from the shared drive. It traced the login to Tola's department, but she quickly shifted the blame to an intern who didn't know how to defend herself. Miriam didn't know it was Tola, but something inside her said something wasn't right. The smiles at work were starting to feel strange. The air around her grew colder. Miriam's family held a quiet engagement dinner. Only close relatives and two childhood friends were invited. Miriam didn't invite Tola. Her mother had warned her. Some people smile with their teeth, but their hearts bite. Still, Tola came, dressed in a loud red dress and heavy makeup. She walked in with a smile too wide to trust. She greeted Kunle loudly, hugged Miriam like they were still best friends, then spent the evening drawing attention. She joked, laughed too loud, and even told Kunle in front of everyone, "Hope she told you about her ex, the one she cried over every day at the office." Kunle forced a smile. Miriam's mother clenched her jaw. The mood shifted. That night, Miriam went home and noticed something strange. Her engagement ring, which she had removed to wash her hands, was missing from the small bowl on her table. In the bathroom, her mirror had a message written in red lipstick. "It should have been me." She collapsed into her mother's arms, shaking with fear. From that night, Miriam and her mother began to pray every morning. Her mother would say, "God, any friend who is hiding behind a smile, expose them." Miriam stopped speaking too much. She moved carefully. She stayed polite but watched everyone closely. She didn't have proof, but her spirit was restless. At work, she noticed her desk was sometimes touched. At home, her phone received strange messages that stopped the moment she answered. The peace she once had was gone, but she held on to her faith like a lifeline. One morning, the manager called Miriam into his office. He looked tired. "Someone came again to complain about you," he said. "They said you're not qualified for this promotion, that you use relationships to get ahead." Miriam's heart dropped, but she said nothing. The manager shook his head. "I told them the truth. You're the most hardworking person I've worked with. Don't let this shake you." He didn't say who came, but Miriam knew. Her hands trembled, but she smiled and thanked him. She walked out of the office with her head held high, but her heart ached. That week, Miriam had a dream. In it, she walked through a bright garden filled with flowers. But behind her, someone followed, smiling while cutting each flower as soon as she passed. She woke up in sweat, shaking. Her mother took her to their pastor. He prayed and anointed her forehead with oil. Then he said, "There is someone close. This person is acting like a friend, but their heart is bitter. They are spreading lies, but their time is short." "Don't fear," Miriam cried, not out of weakness, but from the pain of betrayal. She now began to understand, and slowly the truth began to unfold. One evening, a small envelope had been slipped under Kunle's door. Inside was a printed email, fabricated, with a fake conversation, showing Miriam flirting with another man. The name wasn't familiar, but the email was made to look real. He called Miriam. "I need to ask something," he said gently. "Someone showed me something. I don't believe it, but I want you to hear it." He read out the email. Miriam froze. She had never heard of the name, never seen the words. She didn't cry. She didn't panic. She simply said, "Kunle, it's a lie, but I understand if you need time." Kunle sighed. "Number, I trust you. But someone really doesn't want us to be happy." That night, Miriam told her mother everything. The phone calls, the rumors. Her mother was silent for a moment. Then she said, "We go again. Tomorrow we pray harder." It happened by accident, One of the junior staff, Chiamaka, overheard Tola laughing in the restroom. She was on the phone. She's still clueless, Tola said, chuckling. Kunle thinks she's perfect. Let's see how perfect she looks when she's crying on her wedding night. Chiamaka froze. Later that day, she walked up to Miriam in the break room. I don't know how to say this, she whispered, but I think your friend Tola is not really your friend. She explained everything she heard. Miriam's hands trembled. She couldn't breathe for a second. It wasn't just in her head. It was real. She went home and said nothing. That night, she prayed like never before. God, I won't fight her, but fight for me. A few weeks later, the company did a system review. Security flagged suspicious logins to the marketing files. An internal investigation revealed access from Tola's user profile. She was called into the HR office. There, she was shown screenshots. Her face changed. She denied it. Then she cried. Then she begged. But it was done. Tola was suspended. The story spread. Some laughed, others whispered. Miriam sighed nothing. She didn't gloat. She just walked into the office the next day with quiet peace. That evening, Kunle surprised her with a bouquet of sunflowers. For standing through the storm, he said. The wedding day came. It was warm, simple, and filled with love. Miriam wore a soft white dress. Kunle looked at her like she was the only person in the world. As they exchanged vows, Miriam felt tears rise, not from fear, but relief. God had answered. Peace had won. They moved into their new home far away. Clean air, quiet nights. Once a letter arrived, no return address. Inside, a picture of Miriam and Kunle, torn in half. Miriam didn't panic. She burned it, then knelt beside her bed. God, thank you, and protect us always. Tola was never heard from again. Moral of the story, not every smile is love. Some are masks, but truth is like light. It finds a way to shine. Stay kind, stay true, and let peace guide your steps. Please subscribe for more real African stories filled with wisdom, suspense, and true lessons. The end.